At my engagement party, my future sister-in-law yanked the ring off my finger and snapped. "This should be mine, I deserve it more than you." In front of everyone, she held it up and screamed, "Look at this cheap thing. He would have bought me something better." When I demanded it back, she threw it into the punch bowl and yelled, "Fine, but don't come crying to me when he leaves you." I thought that was the worst of it, until she sabotaged the wedding venue. I was standing in the middle of the ruined reception hall, surrounded by splintered chairs, soaked tablecloths, and what looked like a busted water line flooding across the polished wood floor. The place smelled like drywall and chlorine. My wedding was supposed to happen here in less than 24 hours. And all I could hear, over and over in my head, was my future sister-in-law's voice screaming from 2 weeks earlier. "He would have bought me something better." I remember gripping the doorframe of the destroyed venue, feeling my stomach drop hard enough to make my knees shake. The manager kept explaining what happened, but I could barely hear him. Something about unauthorized after-hours access and intentional damage to the sprinkler valves. The words wouldn't settle in my brain. All I kept thinking was, she wouldn't go this far. Right, except deep down I knew she would. Because I'd already seen what she was capable of. It all started that night at my engagement party in Fort Collins. I was floating on adrenaline, half dizzy from happiness, when my fiancé's sister, Maddie, came up behind me and grabbed my hand so hard I thought she was going to break a bone. Then she yanked the ring off my finger, just like that, like I didn't even exist. I heard a collective gasp from everyone around us, but Maddie didn't care. She held the ring up like she'd won some twisted prize and snapped, loud enough for the whole patio to hear. "This should be mine, I deserve it more than you." I froze because I honestly thought it was some messed up joke. Maddie's always been dramatic, but this wasn't dramatic. This was ugly. Her face was tight, her voice shaking with real rage. People stared, some whispered. My fiancé, Ethan, hadn't even seen it yet. Before I could get a single word out, she added, "Look at this cheap thing, he would have bought me something better." That one hit like a slap. It wasn't the insult about the ring. It was how fully she believed what she was saying. Like the idea of me being with her brother was some cosmic mistake she had the right to correct. I told her to give it back. My voice cracked, but I stood my ground. And Maddie, with this cruel little smirk, shrugged and tossed the ring straight into the giant crystal punch bowl. People actually screamed. I shoved past someone and reached elbow-deep into red liquid, fishing blindly. The cherries kept slipping into the ring setting, like the whole thing was mocking me. When I finally found it, she yelled, "Fine, but don't come crying to me when he leaves you." I should have known it wouldn't end there. But I thought she'd gotten it out of her system. I thought Ethan would talk to her, set boundaries, make her stop. But standing inside that wrecked venue, staring at the soaked decorations and the ruined walls, it hit me like cold water over my whole body. This wasn't a meltdown. This was a warning. And when the venue manager handed me the security printout with the blurry still image that showed a woman with Maddie's exact hair, exact jacket, and exact way of standing, I felt my throat close. Because I realized the engagement party wasn't the peak of her jealousy. It was only the first step. And what she did next made the sabotage look almost merciful. If you want the story to continue, type next. I didn't grow up imagining some huge romantic wedding. Honestly, I just wanted something small, calm, and free of drama. The kind of day where the people who loved us showed up, smiled, ate good food, and went home happy. But then I met Ethan in Denver during a 4th of July block party, and everything about my life shifted in this sudden, steady way that felt safe. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He was warm and grounded, the kind of guy who listened when you talked and remembered the tiny details you didn't even realize you'd said. Within 6 months, he felt like home. The only problem was that home came with a hurricane attached, his younger sister, Maddie. I didn't notice it at first. She wasn't openly hostile, more like clingy, territorial. She'd show up during our date nights with some random emergency, or call him crying over things adults normally handle themselves. I figured it was a phase. She'd been through a rough breakup the year before, and Ethan had always been a second parent to her growing up, since their own parents were pretty absent. At first, I felt sorry for her, and then she started making comments. Not big ones. Just little barbs dressed up like jokes. "Oh wow, you're wearing that? You don't really know how Ethan likes his coffee yet, let me do it." I'm just saying, we've always been the ones who get each other. It was annoying, but I told myself it would fade once she got used to me being around. It didn't. When Ethan proposed to me at City Park, just us, under the string lights near the lake, he was shaking. He tried to kneel and got stuck in the grass. I laughed so hard I cried, and then he cried, and then we both sat in the grass like two idiots holding each other while people walking by clapped. The first person he called afterward was Maddie. Not his parents, not his cousin who's basically his brother, Maddie. I didn't mind, really. I knew they were close. But she didn't congratulate him. She didn't congratulate us. She asked with this weird flat tone, "Are you sure?" I heard it through the phone, clear as day. Ethan brushed it off, tried to laugh, told her he was positive. But when he hung up, he wouldn't look at me for a second. Like he already knew this was going to be a problem. Things escalated fast after that. Whenever I talked about wedding planning, Maddie inserted herself like she was the co-bride. She pushed for a fancier venue, insisted on going dress shopping with me, criticized everything from my color palette to the food truck tasting menu. It wasn't even helpful criticism, it was sabotage disguised as trying to help. She even told me, stone cold serious, that if I ever hurt Ethan, she'd make sure I regretted it. I laughed back then. Like an idiot. I thought she meant it in that overly protective sibling way. But the real shift, the moment I realized something deeper and darker was going on, happened 3 months before the engagement party blow-up. We were choosing our wedding date, and Ethan casually mentioned he wanted Maddie to be a bridesmaid. Suddenly, she wasn't a demon. She was thrilled. Too thrilled. She hugged me so tight I felt her nails dig into my back. And then, right in my ear, so soft only I could hear, "Don't mess this up." I didn't tell Ethan about that. I didn't want to make things worse. But I should have. Because what happened next, none of it was random. None of it was impulsive. The engagement party wasn't her snapping. It was her revealing herself. After the engagement party disaster, everyone kept telling me some version of the same thing. She's just jealous. She's insecure. She didn't mean it. But I knew what I saw in her eyes that night. There was nothing insecure about it. It was possession. It was entitlement. It was this cold, simmering belief that Ethan wasn't just her brother, he was hers. Still, I tried to keep the peace. I didn't want to start my marriage with a family war, and Ethan was already drowning in guilt. He apologized for her over and over, even though none of this was his doing. He offered to uninvite her from the wedding, but that felt too extreme, or at least it did back then. For a while, things quieted down, or so I thought. The first weird thing happened when my florist texted me asking if I really wanted to cancel the bouquet order. I stared at my phone for a full minute, confused. I told her no, absolutely not. Apparently, I had emailed her that morning, using my full name, perfect spelling, even signing it with my exact initial. I didn't think of Maddie at first. I thought maybe it was some glitch or crossed communication. But then the alterations shop called, saying the tailor needed me to confirm, again, whether I wanted the top of my dress cut lower per my request. I hadn't made any request. Then our wedding website got updated, announcing a bar crawl that I supposedly planned the night before the wedding. A bar crawl. Me, the girl who gets tipsy off half a cider. That's when Ethan finally said it. "You think it's Maddie?" I didn't want to answer because the truth sounded insane out loud. Sabotaging flowers, dress alterations, website, who has the time? But he knew, he just didn't want to admit it either. What made it worse was the way Maddie acted every time I saw her. Overly sweet, overly helpful, complimenting me in this fake cheery way that felt like she was daring me to react. Meanwhile, little things kept going wrong. Our caterer called saying someone tried to change the food order to dishes Ethan was allergic to. My hairstylist got a message, from me, canceling my trial. The seating chart mysteriously disappeared from our shared drive. Every time something happened, Ethan confronted her. Every time she cried and claimed we were attacking her, that she was being pushed out, that I was turning him against his own family. And Ethan, God love him, wasn't built for conflict. He'd fold, apologize, promise to figure things out. Then he'd come home exhausted, wrung out, ashamed. We were supposed to be planning a wedding. Instead, we were surviving a siege. The tension got so bad it started bleeding into our relationship. We snapped at each other over small things. We slept less. We started tiptoeing around anything that could possibly set off another meltdown from her. But the escalation that finally broke something inside me wasn't even dramatic. It happened on a random Tuesday. I walked into our apartment after work and found a card on the counter. The envelope was addressed to Ethan. I didn't open it because I didn't snoop. That's just not who I am, but it wasn't sealed all the way. And when I picked it up, a photo slipped out. A photo of Ethan and me, taken at our proposal. Except someone had cut my face out of it. Clean, crisp edges, like an art project. And taped over the hole, in the exact spot my face should have been, was Maddie's. I didn't cry, I didn't yell. I just stood there, staring, while something in me went cold. Because this wasn't just jealousy. This wasn't sibling protectiveness. This was obsession. And it was building toward something. I just didn't know what yet. The first real fracture, the one that made everything before it suddenly make sense, happened the night Ethan got the call from his mother. We were sitting in the living room, both of us dead tired, surrounded by unfinished wedding crap spread across the coffee table. I was half folding place cards. He was trying to convince the DJ to answer his emails. We were both hanging on by threads. Then his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and groaned. It's my mom. Probably another warning about keeping things civil. But the second he answered, I saw his whole expression change. Not annoyed, not tense, just blank. Then pale. He didn't say much. Mostly just what? And are you serious? And I don't understand. And then he hung up and sat there, staring at the carpet like it had just delivered him a prophecy. What happened? I asked. He lifted his eyes to me, and he looked sick. My mom said she talked to Maddie. Apparently, he swallowed. Apparently Maddie told her that you tried to hit her at the engagement party. I felt my stomach drop. And that you grabbed her by the hair. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so wildly opposite of reality that my brain couldn't even process it. What? Ethan, she stole my ring. In front of everyone, you saw. She said she admitted that part, he cut in quietly. But she told my mom you provoked her, that you've been harassing her for months, that she's afraid of you. She said she's been thinking about calling the police. I just stared at him. My heart was pounding so fast I felt dizzy. You believe that? I whispered. No, I don't, but my mom, she does. And she said if we don't get this situation under control, she's not coming to the wedding. And she might tell the rest of the family not to come either. I felt something sour creeping up my throat. So she's trying to isolate us. She wants to ruin the wedding by making everyone pull out. Ethan didn't answer, but the silence was loud enough. I thought that was the big betrayal, but it wasn't, not even close. 2 days later, I found out what Maddie had really been doing behind the scenes. It started when I got an email from our venue confirming the updated vendor access list. Which was weird, because I hadn't updated anything. I clicked the PDF expecting some small clerical error. Instead, my eyes went straight to the line that made my blood run cold. Authorized to enter after hours, Maddie Reynolds. Not me, not Ethan, not our planner, Maddie. And next to her name was a signature. Mine. I didn't sign it. I knew that with every cell in my body. But they had my ID on file. They had all my booking forms. Someone had matched my signature perfectly. Which meant she didn't just want to mess with my flowers or dress or guest list. She wanted access, physical access, to the building, to the decorations, to the sprinkler valves, to every locked room that should have been off limits. That's when the venue manager called me back and said something I'll never forget. Are you sure you didn't approve her? She said she was helping you. She said you weren't capable of handling the stress. And it hit me, hard, sudden like a slap, that all the chaos wasn't the story. It was the cover, the fake cancellations, the accidents, the crying fits, the lies to her mother. All of it was noise. All of it was so I wouldn't notice the one thing she really wanted, control. And once she had access to the venue, real, documented, approved by me, access, everything else was just waiting for her to pull the pin. The moment I saw her name on that access list, something in me snapped. Not the loud, dramatic kind of snap. The quiet kind, like a door clicking shut inside your chest. I realized I'd spent months reacting to Maddie, dodging her, explaining myself, trying to prove I wasn't the villain she kept painting me as, and it hit me just how stupid that was, because she wasn't trying to beat me. She was trying to erase me, so I stopped playing defense. I stopped crying over ruined plans and disappearing seating charts and sabotaged vendors. I stopped begging Ethan to just talk to her. I stopped letting this walking storm dictate every second of my life. I sat down at our kitchen table, opened my laptop, and made a plan. Not revenge, not yet, just survival. A blueprint to protect my wedding, my relationship, and my sanity. Step 1, document everything. I pulled every email, every vendor message, every glitch that wasn't a glitch. I screenshotted timestamps, IP addresses, digital signatures. I wrote a timeline clear, simple, undeniable. Step 2, pull Maddie out of the shadows. She thrived in the gray area where she could deny things and cry her way out of consequences. But people like her crumble when the lights hit. So I set up a meeting with the venue manager and asked him to walk me through the security footage again, with timestamps matching the forged access form. He didn't want to believe what he saw, but he couldn't deny it either. Step 3, loop in the only person Maddie couldn't manipulate, Ethan. I waited until he got home, set everything on the table, and didn't say a word. I just slid the printed access form toward him, then the email timestamps, then the footage stills. I watched his face fall in slow motion. Shock, confusion, and then something I'd never seen before, real anger. What is she doing?" he whispered. "She's escalating," I said, "and she's not going to stop unless we stop her." He didn't argue, he didn't defend her, not this time. He just sat there, rubbing his face with both hands, like he was trying to wipe away the version of his sister he thought he knew. Then he said quietly, "We need to talk to my family." Step 4. Bring the truth to the people she poisoned. That weekend, we drove to his parents' house in Loveland. His mother opened the door stiffly, like she'd already chosen sides. But when Ethan handed her the folder and said, "Read this," she actually did. Page by page, her face started to crumble. When she finally looked up at me, she wasn't defensive. She was afraid. I didn't know," she whispered. "She told us you were, she said you, oh my God." "She forged my signature," I said. "She accessed the venue, she damaged it. The only reason we found out was because she got sloppy." His dad didn't say anything. He just stood up, went into the hallway, and called Maddie. The phone was on speaker. She picked up cheerful, too cheerful. "Hi, Dad, what's," he cut her off. "Where were you last Thursday night?" Silence. Seconds of it, then her voice flattened. "Why? Because the venue you helped with is pressing charges." More silence. Then a shaky breath. Then the click of her hanging up. Step 5, prepare for the fallout. Because I knew she wasn't done. People like her don't stop when confronted, they escalate. But I felt something shift that night. For the first time, I wasn't scared of her. For the first time, she was cornered. And I knew, absolutely knew, that her next move was going to be desperate. Reckless, dangerous. I just didn't realize how dangerous until the second twist hit me so hard it almost knocked the breath out of my lungs. The second twist didn't come from Maddie. It came from someone I hadn't spoken to in almost a year. 3 days after the confrontation with Ethan's family, and 4 days before our wedding, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something in me said to pick up. Is this Lily?" a shaky voice asked. "Yeah, who is this?" "This is Jenna, I'm Maddie's ex-roommate." My stomach tightened. I barely knew Jenna. I'd met her once in passing. Maddie always said she was crazy and obsessed and a stalker. I assumed it was more of Maddie's drama. But the longer Jenna stayed silent on the phone, the more I felt this cold pressure building behind my ribs. "I heard about your wedding," she said softly. "And I heard about the venue thing." She paused. "I thought you should know something I should have told you a long time ago." I didn't speak. I just gripped the phone until my knuckles turned white. "Last year," she said, voice trembling, "Maddie used your name on something. I didn't know what it meant at the time. I didn't know who you were back then. But after I heard what she did to your venue, I started wondering if it was connected." My pulse kicked hard. "What did she use my name on?" I whispered. Jenna inhaled shakily. "A lease application." My heart dropped. "A what?" "She applied for an apartment in Broomfield under your name. Your exact name, your address at the time, even your birthday. I only realized because she left the paperwork out on the counter one day, and I recognized the name when I saw your engagement page online months later." My head was spinning. "What? Why would she do that?" "What apartment?" "That's the part you need to know," Jenna said. "It wasn't a real lease. It was a sublet for a guy she was seeing, a guy who thought her name was yours." I went completely still. "What?" "She used your identity. She introduced herself to him as you. She signed everything as you. She gave him your phone number, well, the number she said was yours. She told him she was engaged but unhappy, that she was thinking about leaving her fiancé, that she needed a place to breathe. My mouth went dry. Why would she pretend to be me? That's what I kept asking her. She said it made her feel closer to Ethan, like she was stepping into your life. A beat. She said she deserved it more. I felt my stomach twist hard enough to hurt. Where is this guy now? That's why I called, Jenna whispered. He thinks you ghosted him. He's angry, really angry. He's been trying to find you. I felt a cold shiver run through me. What has he done? He's left messages. He tried to track you down online. Last month he showed up at our old apartment asking for you, well, for Lily. And Maddie told him you were dangerous, that you'd played him, that you were unstable. I pressed a hand to my forehead. Oh my God, and there's more, she said. He sent Maddie a message 2 weeks ago, a long, angry one. He blamed you for ruining his life. And Maddie replied pretending to be you again. She fed it. She escalated it. And now he thinks you owe him money he loaned you. My chest tightened. How much? $5,000. I staggered back against the counter. Jenna's voice dropped to a whisper. I think Maddie wanted him to go after you. I think she's been building a version of you in his head. A liar, a thief, a manipulator, so that when he finally found you, he'd explode. My hands shook violently. And then she said the part that chilled me to the bone. He texted me yesterday. He got your real address from a mutual friend who still had your name on the old paperwork. He said he's coming to confront you before the wedding. I felt the blood drain from my face. Maddie wasn't just sabotaging the wedding. She created a fake version of me and made sure a desperate, angry stranger believed it. And now he was coming, before the wedding. Before I could stop any of it. I barely slept the night Jenna called. Not because of fear, though there was plenty of that pulsing through my chest, but because everything finally, brutally, clicked into place. All the lies, all the manipulations, all the staged chaos, all the obsessive meddling in our wedding. None of it was random. None of it was impulsive. None of it was about me at all. This was about Ethan and the sick, calculated reason Maddie needed me gone. And I didn't fully understand it until Ethan and I sat down with his parents again the next morning. His mom looked like she hadn't slept either. His dad looked grim, almost resigned. We need to tell you the truth, his father said quietly. About Maddie, Ethan tensed. Dad, no, his father said, raising a hand. You deserve to know, and she's already crossed lines we can't ignore. He told us everything. And with every sentence, I felt my skin crawl. From the time she was little, Maddie had built her entire world around Ethan. Not in a normal sibling way, not admiration, not dependence, possession. When she was a kid, his dad said, she'd get violent if anyone else sat next to Ethan. Teachers called us because she'd lie about him being sick just to keep him home with her. When he got his first girlfriend in high school, she told the girl Ethan had cheated just to break them up. Ethan's jaw clenched. You never told me that. We thought she'd grow out of it, his mother whispered. We thought it was a phase. After her breakup last year, it got worse. She wasn't just devastated, she was fixated. She kept saying things like, Ethan's the only one who won't leave me. My stomach twisted. His father continued, voice raw. And when you came into the picture, she panicked. She told us she could feel you stealing him, that he was her person, that she'd built her whole life around him and she wasn't going to let you ruin it. Ruin it. By existing, I felt myself go cold. His mother swallowed hard, eyes brimming. She said something once that scared me. I thought she was being dramatic. But now, she looked at me, voice barely above a whisper. She said she wasn't going to let another woman replace her again. Not after what happened with her ex. Not after she'd already lost enough. Replace her. The exact words Maddie had hissed at me months ago. Don't mess this up. Don't take what's mine. Ethan leaned back like someone had punched him in the ribs. She was never going to stop, was she? His dad shook his head. No, not until she felt she had him back. Not until you were gone. And the more they explained, the more monstrous the truth became. Maddie didn't want to ruin the wedding. She wanted to ruin me, so completely that Ethan would have no choice but to turn back to her. She wanted me discredited, isolated, overwhelmed. She wanted the wedding canceled so she could comfort him. She wanted him vulnerable, angry at the world, so she could be the single person in his life again. And the identity theft, the fake lease, the angry stranger she sixed on me, that wasn't an accident. That was her endgame. Because if I got scared enough, if I looked unstable enough, if something bad happened because of me, Ethan would blame me, or he would lose me. Either outcome got her what she wanted. Sitting there, letting the truth settle like ice in my lungs, I realized something horrifying. She didn't want Ethan to be happy. She wanted him dependent, trapped, hurt, needing her. The jealousy wasn't emotional. It wasn't impulsive. It wasn't sibling loyalty. It was calculated control. Cold, deliberate, consumed with the single goal of removing me from his life, by chaos, by manipulation, or by letting a stranger she weaponized come straight to my door. There was no sympathy left for her, only dread, and a clarity I'd never felt before, because if I didn't take control now, she wouldn't just destroy the wedding, she'd destroy everything. The morning after we learned the truth, I woke up with one decision burning through me. I wasn't going to survive Maddie anymore. I was going to stop her. Not with screaming, not with more crying, not with begging her to be reasonable. I was going to end this the only way someone like her understood, publicly, clearly, and with consequences she couldn't wriggle out of. First, I called Jenna. I asked her to send me every screenshot, every message, every piece of evidence she had of Maddie pretending to be me. She didn't hesitate. My phone dinged for a full 3 minutes straight as the files came in. Then I contacted the guy Maddie had catfished using my name. Not directly, God no. I wasn't meeting an angry stranger alone. I contacted him through a police liaison, explained the identity theft, and gave a statement. Within hours, officers confirmed what Jenna told me. He'd been manipulated. He'd been lied to. He'd been used as a weapon. They also warned me that Maddie's actions could constitute fraud, identity theft, and criminal impersonation. Which meant I finally had leverage. Real leverage. Ethan supported everything I did. In fact, he was the one who said, "We need to do this right. No more chances." That afternoon, we called another meeting with his family, except this time, we also invited one more person, Maddie. She arrived wearing this fake soft expression, like she was the victim walking into an ambush. She sat down, folded her arms, and shot me a look that said she still believed she had control. Then Ethan placed a thick folder in front of her. "What's this?" she scoffed. "Evidence," he said, "of everything." She flipped the first page, the forged venue access form. Her face twitched, barely, but it did. The second page. Email headers linking to her IP address. The third, screenshots from the fake lease. The fourth, messages between her and the sublet guy, her pretending to be me. By the fifth page, her confident little smirk was gone. When she reached the police report, she froze completely. What is this supposed to mean?" she whispered. "That we're done covering for you," Ethan said. His voice never shook. "This ends today." Her eyes snapped to me, wide and furious. "You went to the police? You're ruining my life." "You tried to ruin mine," I said. "And you almost succeeded." His mom started crying quietly in the corner. His dad just stared at Maddie like he didn't recognize his own daughter. And then Ethan delivered the line that finally broke her. "You're not invited to the wedding. And if you come near us again, you'll be dealing with the police, not us." Maddie's face twisted, panic, anger, disbelief tangling all at once. "You can't do this, you need me, you always needed me." "No," Ethan said softly. "I pitied you, that's not the same thing." She lunged up like she wanted to throw something, scream something, break something, but his father stepped between us. Maddie fled the house shaking. By the next morning, she was served with a no-contact order. And 2 days later, I walked down the aisle in a backup venue offered to us for free after hearing what happened. Every seat was filled. Even family members who swore they wouldn't come showed up once they learned the truth. When I reached Ethan, he whispered, "It's over. She can't touch us anymore." And for the first time in months, I believed him. Our wedding wasn't perfect. It wasn't the one I originally planned. But it was ours, peaceful, safe, surrounded by people who actually loved us. Later that night, when we were finally alone, I told him. "She didn't break me." He kissed my hand where the engagement ring still shined, no punch bowl this time, and said, "No, she revealed herself, and you beat her." And that was the truth. Maddie didn't ruin my life. She exposed how far someone can fall when their world revolves around control. And I didn't just get married in spite of her. I got married without her shadow ever touching my future again. My last thought before falling asleep that night was simple and sharp. She tried to replace me. But in the end, she only erased herself.